But I'd have to think about that more, because I don't want to stretch the meaning here. There's a very definite Trinity meaning that Isaiah means, and I'm not sure if that's one of them. So now we're going to go through the meter. The meter is just completely shocking to me. Okay, so we're going to start clause by clause. Okay, 5215 meter. Ken yazeh goyim rabim alai. You're going to truncate the alai, because the W closes your mouth. Alright, the Vav ending closes your mouth. That's 9 syllables. Ken yazeh goyim rabim alai. See, that's 9 syllables. Yikpitzu malakim pichem. That's 8 syllables. Ki asher lo supar lachem ra. 9 syllables. Wa asher lo shamu hitpunanu. Now that ends up being 10 syllables, so it's got to be elided somewhere. So the probable place to elide it is going to be to take out the wa, washer, like that. Washer, sha, washer. Let me say it better. Washer lo shamu hitpunanu. That makes it 9. The reason you can do that is that the wa, of course, is a vowel sound. All right. It's a consonant, but it's got a vowel sound to it. And Asher, that's the Aleph. Asher spelled Aleph. Well, you can see it there. And the two naturally would elide together. So it'd be Washer lo shamu hitpunanu. 9 syllables. So this is what's so shocking. You've got Ken yazeh goyim rabim alai, 9 syllables. Yikpitzu malakim pichem, 8 syllables. Ki asher lo supar lachem ra, 9 syllables. And then another 9 syllables. Wa asher lo shamu hitpunanu. So you've got 3 9s there. That's Trinity. You've got an 8 in the middle because it's talking about the reaction of the people. And God's will for Christ is that the people, right, know Him. See Him. Yeah, they're shutting their mouths because they see Him. And He's depicting the kings because if it's the kings, it's going to be everybody else too. The king owns the kingdom. In the old days, the king actually owned the kingdom. All right, he had the rights to all the people. They were all his property. That was the concept in those days. And actually, it's the eternal concept too. You're going to see that when we get to 53:12. So do you see that? It's 3 9s with an 8 in the middle, and the 8 is of kings. And when you get to 53:12, that 53:12 is going to thread the malachim, because there's a wa'etatsumim clause in 53:12, which is making kings. So the king makes kings who shut their mouths and then are made kings themselves over other people by the time you get to 53:12. Okay, and then there's more paralleling that's being done. Let's go back. Yazeh and Yikpitzu are in the imperfect, Kalam perfect for Yikpitzu, which is Kafas, in the Kalam perfect. And then Yazeh is the Hifil imperfect of Nazah. So you've got the two imperfects being paired, first of which is in the Hifil, and then you've got the Yikpitzu and the Kal, but they're both in the imperfect. So you've got something causative, which results in a reality. The causation, he's caused to atone for, and then they see that, which is the Ral coming up later, and as a result, they shut their mouths in amazement. Now that brings up the next pairing of we're looking at the tenses. Okay, then everything after Yikpitzu is in the perfect tense. So you've got Supar, alright, that's Puel perfect. The Puel again is the passive of the PL. PL is the intensive stem. And then you've got Rao, which is the Kal perfect of Ra'ah, to see, look at, inspect. So you've got perfect, two perfects there. And then, of course, in the last clause, Kesher lo shupar lahem ra, v'asher lo shamu, shamu is in, again, the Cal perfect, third person common plural. And then hipunanu, which is in the hispolel, perfect. So you've got all perfect tenses following the imperfect of yikbitsu. And that's pretty much everybody's reaction. Is you shut your mouths in amazement, either amazement negative or amazement positive. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 perfect verbs, perfect tense verbs, following the 2 imperfect tense verbs that began the verse. Every letter in Hebrew stands also for a number. Numerology in Hebrew is not like the stupid Bible codes thing. It's a way of communicating truths, Bible doctrine. And so when Isaiah uses a meter, he's not just using it to be poetic. He's communicating doctrine. That's why I'm trying to explain that 9 is Trinity, 8 is God's will for Christ, and by extension to us, because we all get sewn up in Him. That'll be in 53:5. And so when you have to pay very close attention to pairings or triplings or quadruplings, and here we're talking 6. 6 is the number of man. All right, it's the Bible doctrine number of man. 7 is a Bible doctrine number of perfection. I wrote a webpage on what the numbers mean in mirroring.htm. You can just search on Brainout and mirroring.htm and you'll find the page. Numerology is important in the Bible not because of the goofball use of it that we see so commonly on the internet, but because it communicates doctrine in numbers. Alright, so here the numbers are important. Everything in the Bible is important, and so when specific number patterns are used, they're important. Sometimes they're symbolic, but more often they're doctrinal. In fact, every time they're doctrinal, about some kind of principle of doctrine. Alright, so here you're looking at 6 verbs being used. There are no nouns being used to communicate verbal action. Whereas in 52:14 we saw him switch to nouns. Here he's talking about verbs. And he's using 6 of them. And every one of the 6 verbs is an impact on mankind. That's why there are 6. You see how these little things help you understand how to rightly divide the word of truth, how to understand what God is trying to get across? By using the numbers, you know immediately that mankind is the recipient of this. I mean, you could tell it even from the translation, but you see it much more clearly that it's a deliberate purpose. When you see stuff like the fact that he's using 6 verbs, the fact that he's using 3 clauses of 9 and 1 clause of 8 that has to do with kings, okay, since the King of Kings is the one going to be doing this, it helps you know how to interpret the passage. And that's real important with respect to Isaiah 53, because I have never seen so much goofball stuff on this chapter on the internet. I can't even believe that people can come up with the interpretations that they do. It doesn't mean Israel. Israel's the recipient. Israel is not the suffering servant. And the people coming up with that goofball idea, I don't know. Hebrew was supposed to be their language, but they sure don't know how to read it. Because look, Ken yazeh goyim rabim alai. That's third person singular yazeh. The same person who was in 52:14, who was beaten to a pulp, appalled up at you. And the people who are appalled are the Jews in 52:14. The people whose mouths are shut in 52:15 are the Gentiles. So how can Israel be the suffering servant? It's Christ. Duh! Was Israel put up on high and beaten to a pulp so that everybody, that fellow Jews are looking at them? No. The people being beaten up and the people doing the looking at the one being beaten up can't be the same people. Alright, so you got Ken Yazer Goyim Rabim Alai, Yikpitzu Malakim Pichem, Ki Asher Lo Shupar Lechem Rao, Wa Asher Lo Shamu Hitpunanu. Alright, so you've got 6 verbs, meaning mankind.